report on?
We just started our student leadership class with Hanson, and it's going pretty well. We're beginning to define leadership and work on what we do want to work on through the rest of the year. We're starting to plan homecoming and figure out that type of stuff.
Today we just finished collecting money for the class t-shirts, and I think we sold over 100, so I think quite a few. Yeah, we're just trying to work out what activities we're gonna do during homecoming week, and when we're going to do door decorating and decorating the floats, and yeah.
All right. Any questions from anyone? Okay.
How's been the vibe for students coming back?
It's been better because now we're all back in the building together and no COVID restrictions. Everyone seems to be more positive, but we're working on getting school spirit and connecting as a whole as we went through all that process through the last year of not being able to be together and do activities.
Good.
So it's rough getting back together, but we're working on it.
Thank you. Committee reports, do we have any, aside from the ones below?
No, not aside from the ones below.
Okay, we did have a Buildings and Grounds, committee meeting, well, that was the previous meeting, but we also met with the, city administrator, Clinton Rogers, to discuss the safe routes to school, and we'll talk about that later, so. Superintendent report.
For me, I've been working on a number of different things. Q-Comp is due for the teachers. We have to send that in by October 1st, so I've been working on getting our site goals set for the upcoming school year with both high school and elementary principals. I'm working with the entire administration team on setting goals for them, their personal goals for this year, along with creating goals for myself. And then Mr. Moline, our business director, and I have been doing a lot of work with ESSER 3 and how we can best use that money over the next couple of years that we're receiving. One thing we have to do with that is incorporate where we're seeing some gaps in our academic achievement. So I will be pulling our Student Success Committee together over the next week and a half to get some ideas and different possibilities of programs to offer in order to help close that academic gap for those students. So, any questions for me?
Thank you. Budget information, enrollment update.
You can look at our enrollment. Our enrollment is up from what we projected. We projected, or we budgeted for 650 students K-12. Our enrollment as of this today is 677. So our enrollment is up from what we have budgeted for this year. This document will be updated monthly, so you guys can see a total of students that were enrolling in our building or students that may be changing districts also.
Do you remember what we ended at last year?
Not off the top of my head.
It was
I
like
could-
663 or something. Yeah, right around there.
That's good.
Any other questions? All right. Historical cash balance, you guys have all seen that. Does anybody have any questions on where we're at with that right now? All right. We'll move on to 7, approval of the consent agenda. As always, you can pull anything out you so wish to choose. Are there any clarifying questions from anyone before we move? All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Melky. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. 8, old business, approval of policies with substantial changes. All right, so we will go through each one of these. So policy 103, is there any discussion? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 103.
Scott Kaminsky, do you have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 305, do we have any discussion? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 305.
That's Tim Johnson, do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Kendra Hain. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Sorry, I should have started too. With these policies, just a reminder to everybody that, when Tom Lee went through all of these, he added new MSBA ones and, revised some of the other ones that we already currently had out there, and, looked at other districts for some additional new ones as well. So I just wanted to clarify that. Policy 403, any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Scott Kaminsky. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 457, any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 457.
That's Scott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Form policy 457, any discussion on that? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve foreign policy 457.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Scott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 499, do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Scott Kaminsky. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 507. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 507.
That's Scott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Kendra. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 510.1. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 510.1.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second? That's Kendra. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, policy 510.2. So, I'll just start out by saying that we currently have a policy in place, which is 744. And the policy 510 that you see is the beginning of that policy, so it's already stated in that policy. And when Tom reviewed these, he combined it, clarified it to read 6 through 8. So we revised that policy that is currently out there, 744. So any further discussion on that?
Yeah, I guess me being on the policy committee, I guess I don't know how this went through without any discussion on my end, because I think there's some language in here that needs some revisiting. but July was a tough time for my family and some medical issues and all that stuff, so, I apologize on that side of it getting to this level without me bringing up any discussions, but, with a lot of what people set up here, policy 744, in our policy committee meetings, I was led to believe that that Mr. Lee was gonna be changing the number to more align with students in the 500 series instead of the 700. And I see in July 27th, an email was sent out, of this policy that I'll flat out admit I probably overlooked and didn't read as clearly as I should have. To be honest with you, I did it yesterday in the deer stand because I was bored and the wind was blowing and I had nothing to do, so I saw what I had in my calendar, Zane School Board meeting, pulled up the agenda, and I just reread through the policies, and this one stuck out a little more. So quickly, I'd just like to go through some of the points. In the new policy, like Mr. Krause said, it gears towards the students' 4 years of high school, of the experience, which to me, I wrote, shouldn't all grades be involved, not just high school, if this policy is 7 through 8, or 6 through 8 too. In here it states junior high students will eventually have the same opportunities when they enter high school. This is not a given. Some students who like to compete at a higher level get bored, or they feel like they're not challenged enough. They end up quitting, they end up moving. In a later part of that purpose, it says enhance the experience for high school students. Shouldn't we be enhancing the experience of all students? And in the back too, what other people had brought up, a final decision must be rendered to the superintendent and approved by the school board. I don't feel like the school board needs a say in that stuff. And a part of what I wrote on here, it says it took out all the procedures and considerations from the original 744. So bear with me a couple more minutes. In 744, it just reads 6th grade participation. If we wanted to add 7th and 8th grade to that, I think just adding 7th and 8th grade to the existing 744 title would be sufficient. In the process, it says, when analysis is completed, a decision shall be made and communicated to the superintendent and the school board via electronic communication. So that's just letting us know what the decision was. A part that was taken out of the new one, it says any student 9 through 12 can participate in the varsity level if they are selected for the team. Advancement of junior high athletes to other levels requires permission from the athlete, the head coach, parent, guardian, and administrative team. Procedure was taken out of the new one. And procedure step 1, head varsity coach must observe the athlete during previous practices or games. The head coach may choose to hold tryouts. The head varsity coach will the athlete if they're willing to compete at a higher level. Athletes must discuss with their parents or guardians. If in agreement with the head varsity coach's decision, a discussion will occur with the head coach, parent, guardian, activities director to make sure everyone is in agreement with the move. And then the activities director will meet with the high school principal for administrative final approval, which I'm sure would be Mr. Hanson being the immediate supervisor over the athletic director. Considerations for move up was removed at the new policy. Number 1 states athlete's ability. Number 2 states physically able to handle the change. A couple other parts were taken out of move up procedure consideration. The overall benefit to the program is determined by the head coach and activities director. And finally, at the bottom, it had asterisks, 3 at the front, 3 at the back. Just a little line note at the bottom said, any other procedure not outlined by this policy will be determined by the administrative team consisting of the activities director and the high school principal. So a lot of things were, I guess, removed from what I think is a pretty good policy in regards to the process. And I think they were just changed way too much. And I just don't think it's something that the board needs to even have a say on. Like Mr. James said in his talk about being at all the practices, about being at camps. I know there was discussion about not having the money or, ways to go to different camps and all that stuff. And all that stuff's fine, and being a former coach here, and I know almost every coach in this building, when a financial problem has ever been spoke of from an athlete not being able to do something, coaches or booster clubs are always willing to give a scholarship or to be able to pay for a trip or a camp and all that stuff too. So I just really think that, and I did some research too, like Andy did. I looked at all the surrounding schools our size, and I looked at schools, Casson, Owatonna, Chatfield, Caledonia, all schools that have coaches of 30-plus years of coaching a sport at a school. They have a 5-10 policy that, talks about, athletes or whatever. They don't have anything that says anything about 6th, 7th, or 8th graders. In fact, I couldn't find anything throughout the whole state. So I didn't look for all the different schools, but the ones kind of in our area that not only excel athletically but do academically, don't have any mention in their policy in their district of how people are moved up. It's probably on the athletic director's computer or high school principal's computer of a process and all that stuff, but not as a policy, not ran by the school board. So that's all I got. Sorry.
I can clarify at the beginning of that new policy. Tom got that from that beginning part from Anoka Hennepin, and I did go look at their policy, and they have a committee that they have formed to when middle school students are getting pulled up. So it goes through the committee. And then the second part of that policy is the same as the first part of the new one, and that's where he added the 7th and 8th, so it was all the same, and then he just removed, because in our current policy, 7th and 8th are at the bottom, that junior high, or number 3, that's where the 7th and 8th grade fall in our current policy. So we do have a procedure right now for 7th and 8th grade. It just wasn't as clear, so we moved it all up to the top and just made them all the same. So 6th through 8th are the same. So that's how we got to that policy. So just so everybody knows how that became.
I don't know if I can go in depth as Scott did or anything like that, but, and I did miss part of that too, and I apologize. But I think by putting it in the board's hands, it does take out the people that we put in place to make those decisions. We all can't be at practices. We all can't be at the games. We all can't see what these kids are doing in their spare time outside of that as well. And to limit some potential kids' potential because we don't see that and we don't approve it, I think that's not the right thing to do, because you hear some of the stories, not saying that we have that, we could have the potential, but you have like a Carly Wagner, you have Paige Buck, well I call her Paige Buck, it's from Hopkins. Those girls were brought up at such a young age because they saw talent and they succeeded. And if we potentially stop that, what's that to say as leaders here? I think you have to really put it in the hands of our AD, our coaches who are there. And there are a lot of times where they can push them too. And it's all sports. You may have a young runner that has more stamina than a junior who then can push them. You may have a better baseball player, softball player that can throw at 100 miles per hour versus somebody else, and you would take that away from them. I don't think that is something, we shouldn't have that power to make those decisions, in my opinion.
And just to clarify, this did not prevent anybody from being moved up. It was just a procedure to follow, and that's how school boards govern, is through policy. I have no problem taking the school board out of this policy that, and actually Jeremy as the superintendent is the one to ensure that policies are enforced. So it really should actually go up to him. and stop there. So I have no problem taking the school board out of it. Like I said, that part of it is in our current policy. So,
So if you're looking at changing the wording, we're gonna have to table this then and revisit it, cause it doesn't have to go through 3 times without any changes?
we can keep our current policy if we want. The current policy has that in there, but it's only for 6th grade right now, that it has to go up to the school board. But we can even take that out, the school board part out of the 6th grade part of it, and leave our current policy as is.
To answer your other question, Tim, is, we can make changes up until the final approval. So if it's read through once and there, we need to make a change, we can make a change for the 2nd reading or the 3rd reading, and then it gets approved. So we can make changes as we go. If you adopt this policy and then we make changes to it, then it would have to go through 3 readings.
Oh, okay.
So if it gets tabled, it could come back to the next meeting also,
Mhm. Okay.
For the final approval.
for final approval, yes.
So, from my perspective, with that being said, I would say, maybe we look at tabling this, and if there wants to be some changes, possible changes done to it, then do that and bring it back to our next meeting for hopefully final approval. That's just it seems like there's enough things in there that could look at being changed, updated, or whatever, that maybe we wanna do that. That's just my thoughts on it.
October, we have we start our study sessions again, so it would be a discussion item, obviously, at our study. The policy committee could come back together, revisit this policy, make their suggested changes, could be discussed at the study session the first Monday in October, and then it would be approved in the regular board meeting in October.
I mean, I see it both ways. I really do. I see where you may have a very special athlete, but I also see where you have a 9th or a 10th or 11th grader that's been out putting all this work, and now they're bringing up a possible young person that they may be very good at for that age, but are they better than a 9th grader or 10th grader or a junior? And now all of a sudden, are we losing the kids that are 10th graders as juniors now going out because they're like going, well, I'm not gonna play. It's not a easy discussion to have. It's not an easy situation. You do want to enhance the thing for all students, 7 through 12. But if you're enhancing something for the 7th and 8th graders and it's costing a 9th or 10th grader that's put in all this time too, you have to take that into consideration also.
Yeah, but I think it's so much, I mean, if somebody works their way up and puts in the time and maybe bumps you, it shouldn't necessarily mean you quit. Like people said, it could push you, so I consider, and Tim, you'll know this well too, so in the wrestling room, we have wrestle-offs. Okay, it's same guy, same weight, you wrestle off, the winner of that gets the spot. Doesn't matter if it's a 7th grader or a senior. That 7th grader won that spot. So for all these other sports, their wrestle-offs are in the gym and at practices and where they see one-on-one compete and in games and in scrimmages, that's their wrestle-offs. So for a coach to recommend and say these are my starters, these give us the best chance to win when you're at that varsity level or something, or to push my athletes to be better or, fill in a spot or earn that spot back. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, just because your spot, maybe you get pushed from a spot or someone takes you over doesn't mean, you're not good enough. It's someone might be a little bit better, but that might motivate you to push and work a little harder, or say game 1, that person goes out and gets hurt. you're right back in your spot filling in, you know, doing what you can do to help the team. But if you quit, you're not there. The team suffers and all that too, so. I just,
Like
I'd
I
hate
said,
to,
it's not an easy decision, no matter which way we go with it, 'cause you're gonna
I
have-
just, I think
you're gonna have
744 is,
positives on both sides of it, you are, and I can say right now, you look at the number of kids we have out that are juniors and seniors, they're dwindling. This is a fact that's been happening over the last 5-6 years. They get up, we keep bringing kids up, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't, I'm just saying it's a discussion. We keep bringing kids up because we think the younger group is better than the older group, and then all of a sudden our numbers start dwindling down. That has to be looked at, that has to be taken into consideration also.
right, no, I agree.
So-
And I just, I mean, and that's saying that the current policy is being adhered and done right. And if it is, then that might be something at home too, with athletes and their parents. I've got plenty of phone calls from parents who said, well, their kid didn't make this team, so they just told them to quit. So that's coming directly from home too. So, I mean, that's not the way to handle it. I mean, there's a policy written in place. And if there's things, you go to a coach, you go to the athletic director, you go to the principal, you sit down, you figure it out, parents and athletes. And if currently that's not being done, you know, from a policy that we have, then why look at changing it? Why don't we just adhere and stick our to the ground to the policy that we have? And just put 7th and 8th grade in the title, but keep 744 what we have. Because it perfectly lays out, you know, the scenario that should happen. So, I just think it's something that we at least table or step away from tonight. Obviously with people here to discuss it, it's something that the community feels strong about. So I think we owe that to them to maybe go to the drawing board with it, and not approve this tonight, so. And we can probably involve Mr. Lidkey and Mr. Hanson in our other discussions too, and make sure it's what everyone agrees upon and thinks should happen. I shouldn't say everyone, can't please everybody. That's it, I'm done.
Any other comments?
I think too, I guess in my line of work and everything like that, if you work hard, you should be rewarded for it too. And, you know, if somebody's not as good in a job as somebody else, you know, if you go to interview, one person's got more experience, more knowledge, has worked harder, can show what they're work for it, versus somebody that's just been in there and kind of not necessarily, you know, is better, I should say. You know, they should be rewarded for it. Not saying that we should take away everything from these, you know, older kids. They still have the opportunity to go in there, work hard, you know, compete. If they can somehow get better, you know, let's say you're a golfer and you're a 7, I shouldn't just go into handicaps, but, you know, if you all of a sudden just need to tweak one thing to your swing, you can get 5-6 strokes better. And all of a sudden that can change in 1 week with a lesson. And so all of a sudden a younger kid or an older kid could outperform the other. And if you take that away from somebody, you know, it's still the competition, and it should still be a competition. If that makes sense, sorry. If it doesn't, I apologize.
Yeah, so as it states, then 744 would be in policy for now. And then we can pull it back and the policy committee can discuss it further with additional, people in the room, or like, athletic director and, high school principal and superintendent. We can all talk about it together and come up with a good policy that we can bring forward then next time.
Who's the third person on the committee? Is it, okay.
Yep.
That was you.
Mhm.
No, it's not Tim, I don't think.
No,
Laura.
it's
Oh, I thought it was
Laura
Katie.
and Katie and
I'm
me.
on enough.
Amy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking you said it.
yep,
Tim was just apologizing for not reading it.
Oh, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we will postpone, I think, definitely, is that what it is? So,
We need to make a motion?
yeah, I think so. Do we have a motion to postpone policy 510.2?
I'll make a
Thank you.
motion to postpone policy 510.2.
Okay, that's Scott. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Go ahead.
Tim, seconded. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, policy 513. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 513.
That's Scott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Melky. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0.
Probably do the rest in a group.
I think we have to do them all
Just kidding.
separate.
Let's speed it
I know, I
down.
would love to do them all as a group. I would've just pulled that one out. Policy 515.1, any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 515.1.
That's Scott, do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Kendra. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 528, any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Kendra. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 533, any discussion? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 533.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Kendra. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 606, do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Scott. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Procedure, policy 606.1, any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Kendra. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 702. Do we have any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 706. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 706.
That's Scott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 722. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 722.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 801. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Scott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 807. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 808. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's Tim Elke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 903. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve 903.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
I can second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Policy 908. Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve policy 908.
That's Scott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Elke. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, number 9, new business. Approve resolution awarding the sale of general obligation facilities maintenance bonds, series 2021A. Matt, can you talk about that?
Kelly
Kelly.
Smith is here from Baker Tilly. He was gonna talk about that a little bit.
Okay?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. You guys are, you're more than welcome to stay if you guys want, or you can leave if you want. Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Erler, and Business Manager Moline. I'm Kelly Smith with Baker Tilly, serve as your district's financial advisor, and today you had a bond sale of significance to the district. We were looking to sell bonds to achieve construction proceeds of about $9.35 million. And I'm happy to report on a very good sale today. I did have a summary document that I think was handed out in paper to each of the board members. I just want to talk, we had the competitive sale process this morning. We received bids in our office at 10:30 this morning electronically. And the table or the chart at the bottom of this first page is a 5-year history of where general obligation bond interest rates have been over the past 5 years. The black line is the one that would correspond to this bond issue, and you can see we're at nearly a record low period in interest rates. Right now, if we had sold these bonds 3 years ago, the interest rate would have been twice what you received today. So it was very good timing in terms of the sale of the bonds. So our sale results today, we received bids from 3 vendors, which is pretty typical for a smaller district and an issue your size. We did have the district use the state's credit enhancement rating because you don't issue a lot of debt, so we didn't go to the additional cost of getting a rating specific to this debt. But we used the state credit enhancement program so that these bonds sold as a AAA rated, because the state is at the highest rating possible right now. So as I said, we had 3 bids. All 3 bidders are very active with Minnesota school districts that we work with. And the low bidder was R.W. Baird and Company. Back in end of July, I think it was July 23rd, we sent out to the district a document that had our estimates for a sale that was going to happen today. We had estimated an interest rate of 1.94%, and today the results came in at 1.64%. So we were 30 basis points lower than our estimate. Again, I've been doing this 6 years. This is the lowest interest rate I've seen on a 20-year bond. So kudos to you. Your timing was great on selling this. So we had estimated debt service schedule for these bonds was going to be about $602,000 a year on average. With the new interest rates, it dropped by about $15,000 a year. So interest savings there of about $300,000 over the course of the bonds. So there is a resolution in front of you. It's a long resolution, but it basically says you are awarding the sale to R.W. Baird based on the results of the bids this morning. And once that resolution is passed, and we'll move forward, you will receive the funds about a month from now, October 21st. The district will have the funds in place. You may have some early bills with SiteLogic doing some upfront planning for this project. Most of your bills will be done, will be coming next summer as the work begins in earnest. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and then certainly say thank you for allowing us to work with the district on the sale of these bonds and working with other financial matters with the district. I would make one point. This was included on your preliminary estimate as an estimate that we submitted to the Department of Education. We will send this revised schedule up to MDE probably tomorrow, and you'll be seeing a revised levy that should be about $15,000 less than what you see right now. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
That's great news.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion to?
Resolution.
I know, we still have to have a motion, though. Make a motion and then we go through the approval. So, do we have a motion? Motion to approve the resolution.
I'll
Or
make a
you gonna say-
motion to approve the resolution.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Elke. All right, now Wendy.
Burke,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Kaminsky,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Elke,
Yes.
Size.
Yes. All right. Motion passes 7-0. B, approve, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Have a good night.
Approve resolution regarding fund balance transfers and request for fund transfer. Is that Matt?
Yeah,
Okay.
so this was part of, I guess, part of the COVID, kind of, one of the things they allowed us to do is some transfers that normally typically wouldn't be. And this harkens back to the days with Kurt, and we had always planned whenever we got to the end of fiscal year 21 to, transfer some of these dollars over just so they can be used, kind of to help support some of just the general fund. So this is the staff development dollars, and we do have a fund balance in there, and this is the 2% set aside, so it's not like we're depleting this, it's not getting replenished, it's just some of the residuals from the last couple of years. So the resolution is obviously to allow that to happen. This is just from the state, it's a template, and then the form, the attachment there is what I'll actually have to send into the state, and they still need to approve it. But like I said, so this was just COVID-related allowance of transferring this out.
Okay. Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
That's Scott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Tim Burke. Wendy?
Johnson,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Kaminsky,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Elke,
Yes.
Size,
Yes.
Burke.
Yes.
C, approve certifying maximum preliminary levy authority.
So I did hand out kind of the main page here. Of course, I did attach the whole 39 pages if anyone wants to go through that. And as Kelly alluded to, this isn't even the final version. They run a new one of these pretty much every day from now till the end of the month. So once that new debt service will get up there, these numbers will change. But just kind of an illustration of what we're looking at. And when we certify at the maximum, what that just tells the county to do is wait till the end of the month till the numbers are finalized, and that's what they'll send out the notices to all the taxpayers in the area of here's what your potential taxes would be. Of course, then we get into the whole truth in taxation process as we head towards December, and that's when any discussions about, moving dollars around would take place. But for right now, just certifying the maximum just, allows us to not, because or else we couldn't approve the levy tonight. We'd have to wait. And so, that's that there. Obviously, looking at debt service, a little bit of sticker shock there, but that's, part of that is also, if you remember last levy, we had a little bit of debt excess adjustment to our debt service where we had residuals from our last project that our taxpayers were getting credit for. So not only are we adding on this new debt, we're going back to the level we would have under a normal year. So that's that. And then with the general fund, really, we're just talking about that student increase. So we had, as we go up in student count, that's just increases the levy because some of the, our referendums based on per pupil. So, those are the two main things there. Obviously, a 3% increase, not very substantial. Obviously, the debt service, and even so, we kind of keep that medium house income, medium house, level impact in mind. We're not talking anything substantially different than what we talked about last time. So, as we went through approving the project. So, any further questions there?
So when we talked about approving that project, and we talked about not authorizing the maximum levy,
Right.
that's not for this year, that, we're talking that would be next year, right?
Well, that
Or-
decision just doesn't need to be made right now.
Yeah.
We can approve the maximum tonight and not approve the maximum in December. This is just kind of setting it up. So,
This is for the notices to go
Right.
out. It's not actually, we can make our final decision in December on what we want to actually do with it. Correct?
yep.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to approve certifying maximum preliminary levy authority?
So moved.
That's Tim Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's Tim Burke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Approve school age care, wraparound care, and substitute rates for 2020-2021 school year.
Each year, we approve the new rates. We do have issues getting substitutes within the building. So after discussion as an administrative team, what we did was took starting salaries of all of these positions, and then for a substitute rate, we went 90% of the starting salary. That's where our figures came from. And then, at the bottom, it's talking about our community ed program, and then what the substitute or the aides, the SAC and wraparound aides make according to their, education level. So they have from last year to this year, the rates, for the SAC and wraparound went up 40 cents, depending on their education level. And then, substitute teacher for Kids Corner stayed the same. Substitute teacher for, certified substitute teacher we kept the same at $150, and that's high, or that's, at the top of our area, so, trying to attract more and more substitutes. And then, like I said, the top four are 90% of what a starting salary would be for those positions. So this is just a proposal of what we are asking the board for approval, so we can make these adjustments for this year in the pay scale.
Where's our highest need of subs?
Highest needed subs is paraprofessionals and teachers. It's across the board. We need subs just about every day, so
Do we have all our para spots filled?
not yet.
But every other spot in those groups are filled?
Yes.
It's just a need for subs, but paras, we don't have them all filled yet, right?
Paras, we do not have all filled yet. We're close. I think we're down to one or two more paras that we would need. But the issue is subs.
And this doesn't affect anything with contracts or anything
No.
that we've already dealt with? Okay. Any other questions?
Well, that's where everyone feels is a safe number to attract those people, because essentially if we don't have pairs in our building to support our kids and the teachers, I mean, it's,
We can't function, so
Right.
that's why we went as high as what we
but
felt
that's, okay.
appropriate.
That's what I was wondering, if
Our
that's,
teaching sub, rate is really competitive too.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know that one's been that way for a while, right?
Yep.
Do we need to
Pretty good.
potentially raise paras?
Well, if we raise
Yeah.
that, eventually, I think we would have to raise paras.
Yeah, that would have
What's
to go
para
through the
starting pay, then
contracts again.
1310?
Para starting pay is $14.55. So 1310 is 90% of what a para hourly rate is.
And our starting rates for whether it's the paras or the custodial or the food service is really towards the top half of the area around here of schools our size. So I mean, we just can't compete with paying what Waseca or Mankato pays. That's just the nature of the beast.
Well, and we're higher for paraprofessionals.
Yeah, then-
And however, if I live in Waseca or Mankato, am I gonna drive to Janesville for
30 cents?
Well, that or.
5 cents an hour?
Yep,
Right.
or you're pretty much, if you're over there, you're pretty much guaranteed 5 days a week if you want it too, or here, you might only get 3. That's why I've heard some of the paras and even substitute teachers going, I'm pretty much guaranteed in Mankato, I can stay over there for 5 days a week and get it, where I might be here 3 days and then not have that, so it's just a numbers game sometimes.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve the school? Go ahead.
Getting a jump on it?
Easy.
Tim Burke. Is there a second?
I'll second.
That's Scott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. E, approve safe routes to school expenditure. Wanna talk to that, or,
You want me to talk about it?
it doesn't matter either.
I
one.
can. In 2018, I think it was, there was a grant that was co-authored, I guess that's the right term, by the city and the school district for safe routes to school. It's to make, put a trail in from the school out to the Northwoods addition, and then, do some cleanup or construction of some sidewalks and redo some sidewalks. So at that time, it's an 80-20 grant, so 80% of it's paid through federal dollars, 20% of it is paid through local. At that time, in 2018, the estimate for the project, or I should say our 20% cost, was around between $80,000 and $90,000. There's never been a firm agreement between the city and the school district on who would pay how much. Now that the grant is coming up, next summer, they have done a new quote for the construction of this project, and the price of everything has doubled.
What?
So it went from a $400,000 project overall to an $800,000 project overall. Therefore, our local match would be $160,000. Now, we met with Clinton Rogers last week to talk through a few different things. Because of the situation we're in, what we have discussed is that we would be willing to still put, and any of the community members, please jump in. We're still willing to put $45,000 towards it, but we're not willing to put more than that at this time. Now, the city is working on a grant from the state, either state or federal government, that would cover our local cost. So this could cost us $45,000, or it may cost us nothing. So what this is this is approval to spend up to $45,000 for safe routes to schools. And the project, if the city doesn't secure funds in a different way.
Where would the route go?
Yeah.
The
Is it,
route
is
would
it a
go-
sidewalk or
Is
is it
this
a?
part of the one that the
bit
city's
path?
talking about going through Allen Circle too, or?
Behind Allen Circle, so it would go, between the bus barn and the baseball field and run right along the ditch behind Allen Circle. It would curve out to North Street to the Oakwood addition.
Would go through
Northwoods or?
what?
Northwoods, I'm
Northwoods.
sorry,
Yeah,
Northwoods
Northwoods.
That's
addition.
a drawing that we looked at. This here in the blue would all be new walking trail. This portion here was added by the city after we had already done all this. And that's it has to have a little bridge portion and
And then these are.
And there was,
And then
I know
those
there was
are-
discussion about who would maintain it in the winter time. Was that all hammered out at the?
Yep,
Yeah.
cities to maintain it, do snow removal, do all of the upkeep on it.
Seal coating is it a bituminous path or?
Yes.
And what about like infrastructure for this, I mean, elevations, how high it's gonna be? Cause in between that baseball field and the shed, there's
They know-
inlet storm drain and all that stuff, so that's
Yep.
included
They
in
know
all that
all
part
of
of
that
there?
information.
Well, yeah,
And
you
this-
know, they
and
know,
this-
but
This design is not 100% final yet, because depending on what the city decides to do for dollars, they may have to pare some of this back. That one walking path, and correct me if I'm wrong, Clinton didn't say it, but I know we all heard it from somebody that they were looking at that being 8 feet wide. And we're like, why 8 feet wide, so you can drive your car down it, or you know what? So that may be pared back to like what ADA code would be, which is 5 feet minimum wide, you know? So there's still things that could change on this, but they needed to know from the school what we would be willing to pay, so that they can decide what they're gonna pay, and then they can go back and tweak this, and, cause, what'd they say? We will already have to have this out to bid before we will know if we get this other grant that would pay for the rest of it from the state, so.
So we may have to make modifications if the city's not willing to pay to make up that other 20%.
or if we
We may
commit,
have to reduce the project.
if we commit 45 and they get this grant that covers it all, we
Yeah,
pay
they would
45 and they pay nothing?
No,
No.
we would pay.
No,
Okay.
nobody, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would, that grant would cover,
Yep.
what was it, the
That
160,000?
That would cover what we would put into it
Yes,
too.
What the
yes, it
local
covers
would
everything.
have to pay, so it might be we can get this whole thing done and neither the city or the school pay a cent,
Right.
which would be great.
And they had a really good feeling that that grant would go through
Right.
at this point, so.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's vote.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the Safe Routes to School expenditure of $45,000?
I'll make a motion.
That's Tim Burke. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And that's Tim Melky. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. 10, approve resolution accepting donations with many thanks, and I will read them off. If I can get them pulled up here, what did I do with it?
I have it on the screen.
Oh, okay. Donor Matt Monsagan, lumber supplies for the industrial arts, or
Yep.
for industrial arts. Okay, and then National FFA Foundation, $1,718 for FFA. Gidgets donated $150 to FFA, and the state of Minnesota donated $1,500 grant for SAC and wraparound. Do we have a motion to approve those donations?
I'll make a motion to approve the accepting donations with many thanks.
That's Kendra. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's Scott. Wendy?
Payne,
Yes.
Kaminsky,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Elke,
Yes.
Size,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
All right, and our upcoming meetings are October 4th, the study session, followed by a finance committee meeting, and October 18th, a regular meeting.